The revised self-report assessment of functional visual performance is used to assess a client's ability to complete vision-dependent activities of daily living. This assessment contains two components, a self-report assessment and an optional subjective observational assessment of selected ADL tasks. The self-report assessment is completed first and administered as an interview with the client. The assessment should be administered in a quiet environment free of distractions.
Hi, Ms. Mabel. I'm Liz. I'm an occupational therapy student. I'm going to be working with you today.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I understand that you have a little bit of macular degeneration.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to run through this assessment with you. It's called the Revised Self-Report Assessment of Functional Visual Performance. Okay. And it's kind of just a few questions that I'm going to ask about how you think you do on certain activities, how well you think you do.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, so basically it is going to be on a scale of 1 to 4. So, 0 to 4. So 0 is going to be you don't feel like you can do it at all. You need people to do it for you. And then
Okay.
4 is going to be you can do it completely by yourself.
All right.
Okay. So the first part is health management and personal grooming. So do you feel like, here, I'll put it in front of you so you can see it. Can you see? Is that okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the first part is medication setup. Do you feel like it's easy for you to identify medications? Can you see the expiration date on it, or do you need a little bit of assistance?
I think I could do that.
You can do it by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you need any help opening bottles? Do you need help picking up medication that you've dropped on the floor?
No, I can do that on my own too.
Okay. So when you're grocery shopping, is it easy for you to like find the items you need and see the price of everything?
Sometimes I need a little bit of help with that.
A little bit of help. Okay, like more than half of the time, or every time you go, you need help with it.
Probably less than half the time I need help.
Okay. Let me just make a little comment. Okay, so the next session is personal grooming. Do you have any trouble locating, selecting, matching colors with clothes, getting your outfits together?
I can usually match them, but sometimes I need a little help finding them.
Okay. Trouble trimming or filing your fingernails or toenails?
I can usually do that on my own.
Okay. Do you have any trouble putting toothpaste on your toothbrush?
I can do that.
You can see that? Okay. So the next section is meal and laundry preparation. Have any trouble chopping, slicing, cutting, peeling foods while you're doing meal preparation?
I can't always peel the potatoes. I make my husband do that.
You have him do it just in case. Is it hard for you to see?
Yeah, it makes me a little nervous.
Okay. So, do you have any issues pouring or measuring out ingredients, seeing the lines on the measuring tools?
I do need help. I can't always see the lines on the measuring cup.
Okay. So if you're using the microwave to cook anything, do you have any issues like locating or selecting the right settings on it?
I can do that.
You can do that, okay. When you're cooking on the stove, do you have any problems setting the right temperature or identifying the right burner, telling when the burners are on or off?
No, I think I can do that
You
by
can see
myself.
all. Okay, great. When you're using the oven, can you tell what temperature you're putting it on? And you can tell when it's on and off.
Right, I can.
So for laundry, are you able to set the settings on the washing machine and dryer?
Yeah, I can do that.
You sure? Do you need help like seeing which setting is which? Do you need like your husband to help you?
Sometimes he helps me, but I do it most of the time.
Most of the time by yourself. Okay. So the next section is financial management. Do you do any of your financial management? Do you
My
take
husband
your
kinda
records?
does all that for me.
Does he do it because he likes to do it, or is it because you have trouble seeing?
I've never tried. He just likes to do it.
He
for
just
us.
does it. Okay. So our next section is using the telephone. Do you have any trouble typing in the numbers, seeing the numbers, texting?
A little bit. Sometimes I have trouble texting.
Okay. And then how do you solve that problem? Do you use like voice to text? Do you just call people?
I usually just call people.
Call. Okay. Do you have any trouble reading your address book or reading people's contact information?
Not really.
No. Okay. Next section is reading. Do you have any trouble reading the TV guide on your TV?
Yeah, I do sometimes. Sometimes I need my husband to help because I can't always see it.
Okay. Do you have any trouble reading books?
No, I can usually read books because that's closer up than the TV.
Okay. What about labels or instructions?
I can usually read those too.
Okay. And can you read all the information on your credit card, like the expiration date, the code on the back? Okay. So our next section is writing. Are you able to write and normally write a little letter? Do you have any trouble with that?
No, I think I can do that on my own.
Okay. Are you able to address an envelope and stay on the lines?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay. And when you're signing your signature, do you have any trouble with that?
No, I can do that too.
Okay. So our next section is functional mobility. Do you have any trouble going up and down your stairs?
Sometimes I do have a little trouble seeing the stairs.
Okay. Do you turn on the lights? What do you do to help?
Yeah, usually turning on the lights helps me a little bit, but I still have a little trouble.
Okay. And do you have a handrail on it? On both sides or just one?
Just one side.
One side. Okay. So when you're outside walking around, do you have any trouble going over curbs? Do you have any trouble going down ramps?
Ramps aren't usually a problem, but sometimes curbs get me.
Curbs, they do? Okay. Is it just difficult to see where it's ending?
I can't always see them.
Okay. Do you feel like when you're walking around, do you run into things, or are you okay with avoiding obstacles?
Sometimes I do run into things, but it's not too bad.
Okay. When you're driving or when you're just walking around, do you have any trouble reading the street signs?
Sometimes if they're far away, I have trouble.
Okay. So our last section is personal preference activities. Do you have any trouble shaving your legs or plucking your eyebrows?
I normally go somewhere to get my eyebrows done, but I can shave my legs on my own.
Okay. Do you have any trouble completing any of like your leisure activities that you do?
Not that I can think of.
No. Okay. Do you have any trouble using a radio, an iPhone, TV, anything like that?
Like I said, I have trouble with the TV guide, reading the TV guide, and I have a little trouble texting. But besides that, not really.
If there seems to be a discrepancy between the client's rating of an item and a family member's rating and or the client's functional vision, the therapist may complete the observational assessment. To complete the observational assessment, select items from the list of observations that reflect the visual ability the client possesses to complete the task that you are questioning. Observe the client complete the task or tasks to confirm the accuracy of the client's responses on the self-report assessment.
So I have one more part of our assessment that I'd like to do. I just want to watch you do a few tasks, and then I'm going to write down how well you do them, and then I'll score everything up and talk to you about your performance and what we're going to work on.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So the first thing I'd like you to do is, this is a can of baking powder. Can you read aloud the storage instructions for me?
After opening, place lid on tightly. Store in a cool, dry place.
Okay. Okay, so on this medication bottle, can you read aloud the name of the medication and the instructions?
The name is vitamin B12. And the instructions. Oh, it's a little tiny. dissolve lozenge under. I don't think I can read any more than that.
So the next thing I'm going to have you do is just write your signature on this line right here.
Okay.
Can you write your name and your address on this envelope for me, please?
Mm-hmm.
For this next activity, I would like for you to fill this glass until it's halfway full.
Okay.
It's halfway full?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So.
good job. So that was it for all of our activities. So now we're done with the assessment, and I'll get back to you later about your score.
The assessment provides a numerical score representing the client's ability to complete vision-dependent ADL tasks that are a part of their daily routine or role. The score is expressed as a percentage of the client's ability to complete desired ADL tasks. Expressing the score as a percentage provides a benchmark for understanding the client's current level of independence and helps the client and OT understand how close the client is to meeting their ADL goals. The first step is to calculate the adjusted total possible points. This is a total of the number of ADL tasks that the client deems as applicable or desirable to daily living. It will be multiplied by the highest possible score for each item. So it would be multiplied by 4. Non-applicable tasks are omitted from the calculation. For Miss Mabel, she completed 30 of the 33 tasks. Therefore, 33 times 4 equals 120 for her adjusted total score. The second step is to calculate the client's total score. You would do this by add the ratings points for each item the client completed to calculate the total number of points they earned on the form. Since Miss Mabel completed 30 questions, only those 30 questions will be scored. The client's total score was 104. To calculate the self-report score, divide the client's total score of 104 by the adjusted total score of 120. This will produce a decimal self-report score. The decimal score for Miss Mabel was .8667, which rounded up to .87 self-report score. Next, you will multiply the decimal self-report score by 100 to indicate the client's level of independence in the assessed vision-dependent ADLs. 100 times .87 will equal 87% of level of independence. To find the level of dependence, subtract 100 from 87 to get 13 as the functional score or level of dependence. This is also used to determine the percentage of impairment. G-codes are assigned based on the client's overall level of impairment in self-care. To determine the associated functional reporting level or G-code modifier, subtract the self-report percentage scored from 100 to determine the percentage of impairment. As stated before, Miss Mabel has a 13% of impairment. Using her percentage, you would locate which G-code she is grouped in, which is CI, because she is at least 1% but less than 20% impaired, limited, or restricted. The observational assessment form is not used in the overall scoring. Instead, it is used to confirm the accuracy of the client's responses on the self-report assessment. As you can see on the form, Miss Mabel was able to read a food label, write her signature on the line, and address an envelope, but she is unable to read a medication label or pour a glass of water half full. Overall, Miss Mabel is 87% independent in her ADLs and 13% impaired. This score will guide the OT practitioner in developing goals and interventions to increase her independence and safety in performing ADLs given she is in the early stages of macular degeneration.